Again, the United States of America won. More than 20 liquefied natural gas tankers have sailed from the U.S. to the EU to find an alternative to Russian fuel supplies. The Wall Street Journal writes that officials in the United States and Europe are looking for short-term alternatives to replenish spent fuel on the old continent, pending the possibility of a Russian supply cut in the event of a conflict between Moscow and Kyiv. But Russia is also benefiting from increased gas exports to China. That's how everyone wins. President Biden and European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen pledged on Friday, January 28, 2022, to work closely together to ensure adequate energy reserves for Europe, including U.S. liquefied natural gas, LNG, and geospatial. Ukraine shows no signs of relaxation, reports relevant website. See the article in the link below. The United States and the European Union, EU, are working together to ensure a continuous, adequate, and timely supply of gas to the EU from various sources around the world. To avoid supply shocks, including those that could arise from a further Russian invasion of Ukraine, the leaders said in a joint statement. The United States is already the leading LNG supplier in Europe. The White House has previously confirmed that it was working on emergency plans if Russia cuts off gas supplies to the continent in the broader conflict with Ukraine. So more sales. Europe imports about a third of its gas from Russia, and the United States has been in talks with leading energy producers to secure additional supplies. So far, Europe is experiencing a period of severe winters with shallow temperatures and snow. LNG can enhance the security of supply in the short term, while we continue to allow the transition to clean zero emissions, said Biden and von der Leyen. The European Commission will work to improve the transparency and use of LNG terminals in the EU, the EU leader said. The massive energy crisis and the military offensive against Ukraine will bring sanctions to Russia, which will be forced to cut off gas supplies to the EU. Then the EU will be flooded with LNG from the USA. In this context, the U.S. veto on the non-construction of the East Med gas pipeline, which is part of the same plan, obeys. Ukraine has giant liquefied natural gas storage tanks in all of Europe. The confrontation between Russia and Ukraine comes when Europe's gas reserves are historically low, and world gas prices have been highly volatile. European gas prices have been mixed recently, as pipeline imports from Norway and Russia have fluctuated. Follow the money. While the bulk of U.S. LNG exports was shipped to Asia between January and November last year, Europe imported 31.4% of U.S. cargo during this period, according to NGI data. Opinion. All the great world wars and the two great wars have always started from the northern hemisphere of our planet. And especially from Europe, the two previous world wars started. The issue of energy, oil, was crucial before and during the Second World War. After so many years, humankind is still heavily dependent on fossil fuels for energy production. Energy distribution and market anomalies are also part of a parallel war that has never really stopped. Even the bubble of cryptocurrencies relies on cheap, abundant, and secure electricity supply in huge quantities. Equally important as energy sources are transport treatments. And they will be, along with food and medicine, the first species to be missing with the start of a world war. It's good to be prepared for what will happen when it happens and if it happens.